Hello, everyone. Bom dia. Super happy and honored here to talk about a very important topic, logistics. You know, everything that you see around you has come here through our logistical channels, right? All of us here came here, and this is also logistics. So logistics actually impacts our life so much. And today we are talking about impact of AI on logistics. So I'm very curious to learn two sides of the story, because you, Rodrigo, you are implementing the services, so you're offering the services of AI to logistical companies, while you, Cristiana, is actually the boss of a big logistical company, and you are implementing those services. So my very first question, sort of to introduce the topic, is what is AI for you? So when you first started experimenting with AI, and what is AI for you in the logistics?
So, good morning, bom dia a todos. We are super happy to be here with you, Kristina, and with you, Rodrigo. So, as you said at the beginning, logistics is everything that we do every day. And AI is very important to predict some of the weather events that we were talking about in the backstage, about snow, floods, and we use AI to predict and to avoid disruptions in the whole supply chain. So that's one of the applications in the AI nowadays in the supply chain. And the word about supply chain disruption, supply chain constraint has been heard during the pandemic and the post-pandemic as well. And AI is embedded in those solutions as well.
So remove disruptions. Interesting.
Yeah,
exactly. Good morning.
Rodrigo.
Very nice to meet you all. I'm very excited to be here speaking about AI, one of my favorite topics worldwide. At Cobli, we have always used AI, and we are also seeing lots of developments interesting in the past few years. We have started for the basic, let's say, machine learning, focused a lot on improving decision-making and automating tasks. Then we have improved over to more of the machine vision side, using dash cams and cameras overall to improve the ability to understand what's happening to physical operations and improving the abilities of companies to make decisions. And now, as lots of companies are working more and more in this larger language model side of the world, trying to help companies use natural language to understand broad spectrums of data inside their organizations. We also embed like IoT devices into vehicles or physical spaces. And it's very interesting to see how those types of sensors allow operations to figure out new information through these type of models.
Thank you very much. Well, let's delve more into this. So I'm super curious to learn how exactly AI can help remove disruptions, also maybe distractions, right? So how exactly does it work? How does it work? How does it get implemented? What are these solutions that AI offers to the logistics industry?
That's a very interesting question, because we, as consumers, we buy online almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're buying online and you have your process payment done, you want to know when your package, when your order will arrive on your doorstep. So behind the scenes, you have everything integrated, from the order management to the delivery to the pickup, the last mile. And AI is responsible to connect all the key stakeholders in order to provide full visibility in the whole supply chain. Because planning is key in this industry. And more important than the package to be delivered on the doorstep is when and how it will be delivered. And AI is part of the whole chain to provide connectivity and visibility for the whole stakeholders.
Do you have any idea of like statistical numbers, like how much AI can improve this efficiency in terms of removing disruptions and in terms of having the full visibility? So
there's some researchers done recently in the US that AI can remove between 15 to 18% of the disruptions with a more predictive analytics capabilities. Mainly in the northern part of the world, like Europe and the US, where we have a lot of winter storms, you have a lot of floods, but also in South America, where you have, for example, during the summer, a lot of rain in the big cities like Rio and São Paulo. So between 15 to 18% improved productivity on that.
Okay.
What we're seeing is very similar. Like lots of people, when they start speaking about AI, they think about like broad spectrum, AGI, let's try to automatize everything. And that's not how it's being implemented right now. What we're seeing in AI right now is twofold. One is optimizing processes. How can we automatize workflows and make them perfect, less manual tasks, faster, no mistakes, things like that. And the second one is improving decision making, because we can look at a broader set of data and make better decisions on top of that. So the way we look at it is one issue at a time. What's the impact of AI in that specific issue? So for instance, when we talk about safety on the roads, we'll see that it depends on the data you have, but roughly 90% of accidents are caused by people doing something wrong. So the car didn't brake, the road wasn't bad, the person was using the cell phone or something like that, or was too sleepy, and then it ended up causing an accident. In that case, you can see that you can reduce like 80% of the incidents that lead to accidents. And then if you go into other parts of logistics, like, how can I improve fuel consumption? Because fuel is bad for the planet, and it's also a very high cost for most logistics companies. Then it has all sorts of different applications. Can I improve routing? Can I figure out which gas station is cheaper inside the route I'm in? Can I improve my driving behavior so I consume less gas? So we tend to break it down into different problems and then tackle them with a lot of focus.
And Christian, if I may, just to build on Rodrigo's comments, and that's exactly what we as a logistics provider do in a network planning, right? And what the right size of the asset, if it's an airplane, a small truck, a small van,
a motorcycle,
because like there's a lot of environmental goals in less in CO2 emissions, right? And if you have a much more optimized network, you're going to be faster, you're going to be more productive, and at the end of the day, you're going to have less CO2 emission. And then you're aligned with environmental goals that we have also here in Brazil.
That's very interesting, because what we see also, like for big decisions that we're making using AI, there's a different type of investment than on the how can I automatize 100 or 1,000 of small decisions that my workforce is doing every day. So they lead to different implementations also inside the organizations.
So such a big plethora of different opportunities that AI offers. You've been working with thousands of companies, right,
yes,
who are implementing AI. Do you see any particular pattern? Are they all perceiving the technology with the, open arms, or are there also some, is there resilience?
No, we have now a little bit more than 6,000 clients in all parts of Brazil doing all sorts of different things. And they all have very different stages of maturity using and implementing AI inside their companies. And I also think that's something that everybody's still learning a lot. So for instance, we have tens of thousands of dash cams like filming the streets throughout Brazil. A couple months ago, I started talking to an insurance company that said, I have hundreds of thousands of stolen vehicles. Can you help me find them by reading license plates throughout the street? Possibly. Can you help me find other problems inside the smart cities? Possibly. I didn't know that 4 months ago. And there are other use cases that we'll still figure out. What we see that's very important for companies to implement AI is the ability to prioritize. Because since it can solve such a broad spectrum of issues, lots of companies try to do everything simultaneously. And we're always on the pace of walk before you can run. So I think this prioritization and having people that actually have the expertise of implementing, so not only dreamers talking about the solution, is what moves the needle. And something that is hard is the process of those companies were built before AI. So lots of things need to be changed. And in lots of companies, change is scary. So it is very important for their senior leadership of the company to have a vision on what needs to be done, and I'll change what's required to make my company better. Because if you don't do it, the company by your side will do it, and you'll be left behind at the end.
So Cristiano, what are your tips? You are this executive who prioritizes and structurizes the implementation of AI.
The first tip is don't get overwhelmed with AI. Don't try to solve the world because everybody's trying to use AI, trying to solve all the issues using this new technology, which is not so new. AI has existed in the last 20, 25 years, and now the application is more in the day-to-day, right? But that's critical to define within your organization which area you're going to implement AI. For example, in our case, we choose two areas that we're going to implement AI. The first one is the network planning. What's the right asset utilization, the asset localization for different types of customers and different type of routes. That's number one. And the second one is about on the sales cycle. How can our sales organization can be more productive, connecting the key stakeholders to streamline the whole sales process and get the revenue faster than it used to be years ago. So try to do something small, start small, and then build up and create the culture of AI, which is also very important within the organizations. That's something that we've learned in the last months in applying AI in some of our key processes.
Because what we see often is that AI has a lot of hype, so everybody wants to do a lot of things. And then if it takes a little bit longer than you're expecting, then you give up. It's too hard, it's not going to work, I'll give up. And then again, you'll be left behind. So knowing how to implement is extremely important.
But it's understandable. I mean, there is so much that you can do.
Exactly.
And then you also produce ideas while you are brainstorming. I think it was Steve Jobs who said once, like, actually, the best CEO is the one who not chooses the best ideas, but chooses the ideas to which you have to say no, because there are too many best ideas, and then you have to choose.
And a second tip, if I may, is about change management, the change of mindset. And as Rodrigo said, it comes from the top, from the senior management to the middle management to the whole team that is in the field. That's very critical, because at the end of the day, we need to reskill and upskill our workforce, right, to use the new technology and don't get frustrated and dismotivated with the AI or machine learning or any other technology that may come up in the coming future.
Do you have you encountered any resilience among your staff with the implementation of AI?
I think the first reaction, people get scared.
Okay.
Wow.
What are they scared about?
They're scared about, hey, I don't know how to deal with this technology. Will I lose my job because I'm not getting up to speed and to use this in my day-to-day work? If productivity improves, what's going to happen with my team? And then that's why change management and the way, the top leadership comes down and say, no, this will improve productivity, we're going to grow, we're going to scale our business without adding a lot of inefficiencies in the whole network. That's why it's a kind of education process that has to be embedded once we apply technology like AI into your workforce.
Very interesting and important. Isn't there also a problem of like, now Big Brother will know everything about me? Like, is there a privacy issue among the people who have to implement it? The drivers who maybe are used to, stop to have a coffee or to watch an anime movie while they are like in the traffic jam, something like that. Is there a resilience on this psychological level?
I wouldn't say there's a resistance or a scary at the beginning. It's much more about how this new technology will imply and affect my day-to-day business, my work as a pilot, as a driver, or as forklift driver. So again, it goes back to educate the workforce about the benefits of the new technology embedded into the process, in this example, AI.
What we're seeing is very similar. Similar to the workforce at your companies as a whole, you can have fear of losing, or you can see the potential of actually winning, and how can this improve my job so I'm in a better position, or my company is more competitive, and we see both sides of the agenda. Something that is interesting for us is we work with dash cams inside the vehicles, and one of the main use cases is trying to improve safety. So, if the driver is sleeping, let's tell him to stop the car. If he's using the cell phone, let's tell him to stop using the cell phone. And it's interesting to see that most of the drivers actually like it. When I installed into my own vehicle, because I'm one of the first, let's say, beta testers, it's very interesting to see that you do way more harmful events than you imagine. And then I start thinking about it, like I'm putting myself and everybody else in harm for no reason. And then you start to think more about it and you say, look, I need to develop this skill and drive better and better. But one thing that's trending also in that direction is that it puts way more data into what is right or bad feedback from the managers. So with less data, the managers are more prone to giving bad feedback to their workforce because they don't know what's going on. When you have proper data, you can be more fairly assessed. If I'm doing a good job, I can prove that I'm doing a good job now. So it's very good for people who are performing better in their functions also. But I don't think it's ever going to go in the direction of ultra micro management. It tends to have more impact on larger decision making.
Yeah, and also what's key, the third point that I would like to raise in logistics is all about collaboration, right? And have to bring all the key stakeholders, like for example here, we were talking about between our companies, ways to collaborate more, because don't try to build your own technology, your own AI features by yourself. Because there's something good going on out there. Let's exchange ideas, exchange good practices, and bring and escalate this usage of AI within organizations. That's another important thing. Don't try to hey, that's my technology I'm trying to protect because it's a kind of privacy. No, it's not. Everybody can benefit of new technology across the whole ecosystem.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I actually wanted to ask also in terms of cross-border supply chain mechanisms, how is the collaboration on this AI front being developed recently? And do you see any resistance from some countries more than from others? And who are the leaders right now?
That's a very important point because nowadays, if you see collaboration across the whole supply chain, is very little. I would say in the single digits, between 8 to 9%. Because when you think about supply chain, you have at least 20, 30 key players among one specific package that comes from point A and it's delivering to point B. So something that we've seen is that professionals in the logistics and the transportation industry use less than 20% of their time in the new technologies. Think about it, 80% of their time is involved and dedicated in the old way of doing business. So that's, you see the upside in collaborating and bringing all the key actors together to really develop that strong platform.
Interesting.
And we also see, as in other examples, that need is the mother of innovation. So when companies actually see a very large opportunity that this can change my business, this can make me a better company, this can make me in a better position, then they have more will to go into what's happening. And we see a lot of this happening now inside AI. Because since everything is changing so fast, like everybody's watching the evolution of ChatGPT 3 to 4 to 5 to wherever it goes, you can't stop. So you need to be collaborating, you need to be looking at what's happening, otherwise you will be left behind. It doesn't make sense to build a huge building that will take 100 years to be developed with the infrastructure we have right now, because it is going to improve very fast soon. There's also a very important discussion here on who owns the data and what data should be shared and what data shouldn't. So for instance, when you're talking about accidents like we were before, sharing data, or theft, for instance, sharing data can be helpful. This region has a higher theft rate than that other one. Can I avoid that region? Can I avoid behavior that help nobody getting robbed? That's good to be shared. If I have information that is critical to my operation, then that one I don't want to be shared. So that's also why it's very important to have very good vendors, very good partners in the solution that you can trust and that will follow GDPR, LGPD, or whatever rules you think is important for the data you're sharing with them.
And it goes back to data privacy. Data privacy, we talked about change management, we talked about reskilling, upskilling our workforce, the new technology, but behind the scenes, you have data privacy and data breach. So there's a lot of regulatory discussions in countries like Brazil about how to protect the data, what kind of data can be, available to the broader, I would say, environment, and how can you control that and the access to that. And it comes also back to the ethics of use of data and the new technology like AI. So there's a lot of things going on in countries like Brazil in order to regulate the use of data, the use of new technology like AI.
That's a very good point, because the way I see it now is new technologies are more, they lever what people already wanted to do in the past. So it's like putting a speaker into somebody trying to speak. So if you're trying to do something bad, you have more tools to do something bad now. If you're trying to do something good, you have more tools to do something good right now. So the technology itself is not good or bad, but the people managing the technology could be both. So that's why it's important to know who you are dealing with.
And the human nature, is still, we have some questions too,
We have some problems there, yeah.
But this all happens very fast, right? And, you mentioned the leaders who are moving toward this unknown. I think it was maybe Kissinger who said that good leader is the one who always brings his team to some place that has never existed before. So if we come up with some outlook to the next, let's say, 2, 3, 5 years, how do you see this being developed? And also I think in terms of transportation, there are so many conversations about potential like autopilot implemented, so AI helping people being removed from this supply chain as drivers, right?
Yep.
So what is your take on this?
So in the transportation segment, the next 3 to 5 years is going to be a big revolution in the way we operate our business. Yeah. Some jobs will disappear, but other jobs will come up. For example, a forklift driver today can be reskilled to be a data scientist, for example, or can be working instead of the customer service, working in sales in the face-to-face interaction. So what organizations need to pay attention to is map the jobs that will or may disappear in the coming 3 to 5 years, but also prepare the workforce for the new jobs that will come up you're not going to have enough people to really execute the strategy in those organizations.
Right.
So that's the link between today and the future. And it has to come again from the top, from the senior management.
What I'm seeing now is logistics will change a lot. The organizations that have the ability to improve their process and implement technologies are the ones that are going to win. By winning, what I mean is it will make logistics way cheaper for everybody. By having cheaper logistics, we'll end up buying more things or we end up improving opportunities everywhere. For instance, in Brazil, we have lots of regions that it doesn't make sense for you to farm the land because the logistics is too expensive for you to get to the port or something else. If the logistics cut in half, then we can have way more farmable land or improve progress in these further removed regions. What will potentially, that we believe will happen, is AI is not being built in a way right now that will take out a whole job. The way it works, it's task by task. I'll help this task be more efficient and I'll do it by myself. And that will free up time for people to do other things that have higher lever. So that will also improve the ability of people making more money and keep on progressing, like we had with different technological advancements that we have in the past. So our belief is the winners in the logistics segment will potentially change. The ones that are able to implement this technology will win. It's going to be cheaper for everybody. For us to get to this event, for us to buy food, get energy, telecom, whatever. In
cheaper, I also hope faster.
Faster, cheaper, and more, and it will get there on time. That's also extremely important in logistics. Everything is late very often. And the workforce will change, but that's the opportunity that people have right now. Like, it didn't change yet. Now is the time for people to learn, develop, and be able to take advantage of this model and not live in fear, waiting for the future never to arrive. That won't happen.
And that's a window of opportunity. We cannot miss that window of opportunity to adopt. Adoption is also key. Adoption of new technology, adoption of new processes, but also goes back again to the culture. You got to change your mindset. You got to change the culture. And I think events like that promote that kind of mindset, putting all these stakeholders together, interacting, change ideas, because we arrived here, right, and we're going to take a lot of good things from these events, from these 3 days, to apply in our organizations and collaborate more. I think that's key at the end of the day.
No, in the end of the day, I think we are all using so much AI already without even thinking about it, right? Like when you drive, you use Waze, Google Maps, etc., and it gets adopted. Thanks to AI, it gets adopted also to the local specificities. Like here in Brazil, Waze doesn't work the way it works in the US or in Europe. So it's a very interesting topic. I look forward to talking about this in next year, in 2 years, and see what next on our great agenda of becoming more free and more safe.
Let's do it.
More secure and more efficient. Thank you so much, Web Summit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.